भगवते वासुदेवाय। ॐ नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ॐ नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। Text 19. माया जवनिकाक्षणाम् अज्ञानदोक्षम् अव्ययम् नालक्ष्यसे मूढदृश्या नटो नाट्यधरो यथा.
Translation: being beyond the range of limited sense perception, you are the eternally irreproachable factor covered by the curtain of deluding energy. You are invisible to the foolish observer, exactly as an actor dressed as a player is not recognized.
Text 20. Tatha paramhansanam muninam latmanam bhakti yoga vidyanartham katham pashyemahi sriya.
You yourself descend to propagate the transcendental science of devotional service unto the hearts of the advanced transcendentalists and mental speculators, who are purified by being able to discriminate between matter and spirit. How then can we, women, know you perfectly?
Text 21. Krishnaya Vasudevaya Devaki Nandanaya cha Nanda Gopa Kumaraya Govindaya Namo Namaha.
Let me therefore offer my respectful obeisances unto the Lord, who has come, the son of Vasudeva, the pleasure of Devaki, the boy of Nanda, and other cowhead men of Vrindavana, and the unleavener of the cows and the senses.
Text 22. Namah Pankajnabhaya Namah Pankajmaline Namah Pankajanetraya Namaste Pankajna Yagrehe.
My respectful obeisances unto you, O Lord, whose abdomen is marked with a depression like a lotus flower, who are always decorated with garlands of lotus flowers, whose glance is as cool as the lotus, and whose feet are engraved with lotuses.
Text 23. Yatha Hrishikesha Khalin Devaki Kansen Rudvat Chiram Shucharpita Vimochitaham cha sahat maja vibho Twayeva nathen muhur vipat ganat.
O Hrishikesha, master of the senses and lord of the lords, you have released your mother Devaki, who was long imprisoned and distressed by the envious king Kamsa, and me and my children from a series of constant dangers.
Text 24. Vishan Mahagne Purushad Darshana Dasatsya Bhaya Vanvas Prichatha Mridhe Mridhe Neka Maharat Strato Drodhyastra Shastrasna Hare Bhrikshita.
My dear Krishna, your lordship has protected us from a poisoned cake, from a great fire, from cannibals, from the vicious assembly, from sufferings during our exile in the forest, and from the battle where great generals fought. And now you have saved us from the weapon of Ashwatthama.
Text 25. Vipada santuta shashvat tatra tatra jagat guru bhavato darshanam yatsyad apunar bhav darshanam.
I wish that all those calamities would happen again and again so that we could see you again and again. For seeing you means that we will no longer see repeated births and deaths.
Text 26. Janmaishvara Shruta Sridhir Edha Manmada Puman Never Hatyabhidantu Vai Tvam Ankinchana Gocharam.
My lord, your lordship can easily be approached, but only by those who are materially exhausted. One who is on the path of material progress, trying to improve himself with respectful parentage, great opulence, high education, and bodily beauty, cannot approach you with sincere feeling.
Text 27. Namo Kinchana Vittaya Nivrit Gurvrittaye Atmaramaya Shantaya Kevalya Patye Namaha.
My obeisances are unto you, who are the property of the materially impoverished. You have nothing to do with the actions and reactions of the material modes of nature. You are self-satisfied, and therefore you are the most gentle and or master of the monis.
Text 28. Manye Tvam Kalamishanam Anadi Nidhanam Vibhum Samam Charatam Sarvatra Bhutanam Yanmithi Kali.
My lord, I consider your lordship to be eternal time, the supreme controller, without beginning and end, the all-pervasive one. In distributing your mercy, you are equal to everyone. The dissensions between living beings are due to social intercourse.
Text 29. Na Veda Kaschit Bhagvat Chikrishitam Tave Manasya Niram Vidambanam Na Yasya Kaschit Daito Sri Karichit Devascha Yasmin Vishma Mati Nirnanam.
O Lord, no one can understand your transcendental pastimes, which appear to be human and so are misleading. You have no specific object of favor, nor do you have any object of envy. People only imagine that you are partial.
Text 30. Janma karma cha vishvatman jasya karturatmanah tiryan rishishu yathasu tadatyanta vidambanam.
Of course, it is bewildering, O soul of the universe, that you work though you are inactive, and that you take birth though you are the vital force and the unborn. You yourself descend amongst animals, men, sages, and aquatics. Verily, this is bewildering.
Text 31. Gopya dade tvayi kritagasīdām tavat yate dashashiru kalīnananchanam sambram aksham vakatram ninya bhaye bhavnaya sitasya samam vimohayati virapi yadve bheti.
My dear Krishna, Yashoda took up a rope to bind you when you committed an offense, and your perturbed eyes overflooded with tears, which washed the mascara from your eyes, and you are afraid. Though fear personified is afraid of you, this sight is bewildering to me.
Text 32. Kechida purjam ajam jatam punya shlokasya kirtaye yado priyasyan vavai malyasyeva chandanam.
Some say that the unborn is born for the glorification of pious kings, and others says that he is born to please King Yadu, one of your dearest devotees. You appear in his family as sandalwood appears in the Malaya hills.
Text 33. अपरे वसुदेवस्य देवक्यां याचितो भ्यगात् अजस्वमस्य क्षेमाय वधाय च सुरद्विषाम्.
Others say that since both Vasudev and Devaki prayed for you, you have taken your birth as their son. Undoubtedly, you are unborn. Yet, you take your birth for their welfare and to kill those who are envious of the demigods.
Text 34. भारावतारण्यान्ये भुवो नावो इवो दधौ सीदन्त्या भुरि भारेण जातो हि आत्मना भुवार्थितः.
Others say that the world, being overburdened like a boat at sea, is much aggrieved, and that Brahma, who is your son, prayed for you, and so you have appeared to diminish the trouble.
Text 35. Bhave asmin klishayam manana mahavidya kam karmabhi shravan smarana harni karishyanti iti kechana.
And yet, others say that you appeared for the sake of rejuvenating the devotional service of hearing, remembering, worshipping, and so on, in order that conditioned souls suffering from material pangs might take advantage and gain liberation.
Text 36. Shrimanti gayanti grunantyabhikshanasya smaranti nandati tavehitam janah ta eva pashyanti achiren tavakam bhava pravaho param padambujam.
O Krishna, those who continuously hear, chant, and repeat your transcendental activities or take pleasure in others doing so certainly see your lotus feet, which alone can stop the repetition of birth and death.
637. Api adhyanastvam swakritehi prabho jihasasi shudro nuva nujivanah yesham na chanyat bhavatah padambujat parayanam rajasu yojitam hasam.
I can't see the translation on the screen.
Hare Krishna, Jyoti Mataji.
Hare Krishna Mataji, something happened. I'm just trying to get it back. Sorry.
Thank you.
Hare Krishna, can you see my screen now, Mataji?
Yes, Mataji. Yeah. Oh, my Lord, you have executed all duties yourself. Are you leaving us today? Though we are completely dependent on your mercy and have no one else to protect us, now when all kings are at enmity with us.
I'm
Hare
sorry.
Krishna Mataji, I thought we were reading up to 36.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I had muted myself. Text 38. Kevayam
Sorry,
naparupa.
Mataji. I thought we were reading up to 36 only.
Oh,
I'm-
sorry. All right.
Hare Krishna. Thank you very much for the lovely recitations, dear Suparna Mataji and Hima Mataji. I don't think Prabhuji has joined us as yet. I'm just looking.
No, I'm here.
Oh, you are there. Hare Krishna. Thank
Hare
you.
So I can share my screen, I think.
Yes, Prabhuji, you can.
Okay, thank you. So can everyone see the verse?
Yes, Prabhuji.
Okay, excellent. This verse, today's verse, is probably one of the most important, prominent, and famous verses from the whole Queen Kunti's prayers. All verses are wonderful, but specifically this particular verse is quite what do you call? Is famous for the specific reason, and we will discuss that today. So let's start. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudire Nashtaprayeshu Abhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttama Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naishtaki. So, Srimad Bhagavatam, 1st Canto, 8th chapter, 25th verse. Vipadaha santutah shashvat tatra tatra jagadguru bhavato darshanam yasyat punarbhava darshanam apunarbhava darshanam. Vipadaha santutah shashvat tatra tatra jagadguru bhavato darshanam yasyat apunarbhava darshanam. Vipadah santutah shashvat tatra tatra jagadguru bhavato darshanam yasyat apunarbhava darshanam. And word by word translation. Vipadaha, calamities. Santu, let there be. Ta, all. Shashvat, again and again. Tatra, there. Tatra, and there. Jagadguru, O Lord of the universe. Bhavataha, your. Darshanam, meeting. Yat, that which. Syat, is. Apuna, not again. Bhavadarshanam, seeing repetition of birth and death. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Translation. I wish that all those calamities would happen again and again so that we could see you again and again. For seeing you means that we will no longer see repeated births and deaths. Purport by Srila Prabhupada. Generally, the distressed, the needy, the intelligent, and the inquisitive who have performed some pious activities worship or begin to worship the Lord. Those others who are thriving on misdeeds only, regardless of status, cannot approach the Supreme due to being misled by the illusory energy. Therefore, for a pious person, if there is some calamity, there is no other alternative than to take shelter of the lotus feet of the Lord. Constantly remembering the lotus feet of the Lord means preparing for a liberation from birth and death. Therefore, even though there are so-called calamities, they are welcome because they give us an opportunity to remember the Lord. which means liberation. One who has taken shelter of the lotus feet of the Lord, which are accepted as the most suitable boat for crossing the ocean of nations, can achieve liberation as easily as one leaps over the holes made by the hoofs of a calf. Such persons are meant to reside in the abode of the Lord, and they have nothing to do with a place where there is a danger in every step. This material world is certified by the Lord in the Bhagavad Gita as a dangerous place full of calamities. Less intelligent persons prepare plans to adjust to those calamities without knowing that the nature of this place is itself full of calamities. They have no information of the abode of the Lord, which is full of bliss and without trace of calamity. The duty of the sane person, therefore, is to be undisturbed by worldly calamities, which are sure to happen in all circumstances. Suffering all sorts of unavoidable misfortunes, one should make progress in spiritual realization, because that is the mission of human life. The spirit soul is transcendental to all material calamities. Therefore, the so-called calamities are called falls. A man may see a tiger swallowing him in a dream, and he may cry for this calamity. Actually, there is no tiger and there is no suffering. It is simply a case of dreams. In the same way, all calamities of life are said to be dreams. If someone is lucky enough to get in contact with the Lord by devotional service, it is all gain. Contact with the Lord by any one of the 9 devotional services is always forward step on the path going back to Godhead. Prabhupada ki jai. So let's chant the verse. Let's chant the Mangala Charan first. Om Ajnantimirandasya Jnananjana Chakshuromilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Supadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Saavadhutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhanvitamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandho Jagatpate Gopesh Gopika Kant Radha Kant Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Rishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Haripriye Vanchakalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Nama Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Pristhaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swamin iti namine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Srivas Adi Gaura Bhaktavinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare Hare Jam Rambitavyo Kanakavadhato Sankirtane Pitaro Kamalayacho Vishwambharo Dvijabharo Yugadharma Palo Vande Jagat Priyakaro Karunavataram Yantah Pravishya Mama Vachamimam Prasuptam Sanjeevayatya Akhila Shaktidhara Swadhamna Anyamscha Hasta Charana Shravanatvagadin Pranan Namo Bhagavate Purushaya Tubhyam. So today's verse is Vipada Santuta Shashvat Tatra Tatra Jagadguru Bhavato Darshanam Yasyad Apunarbhava Darshanam. I wish that all those calamities would happen again and again so that we could see you again and again. For seeing you means we will no longer see repeated births and deaths. So let's discuss this. There are, Prabhupada is here in this particular purport, he is referring to some of the very, very crucial, very important verses. And it's a very, very important purport to meditate on. Because famous from those, and I don't have to face these calamities. I will come out of this material world.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji,
So,
sorry, just giving you a heads up, your internet is dying a little bit in and out, so we're losing your voice every so often. Just it kind of, it's fluctuating quite a bit.
Oh, okay. There is some work going on outside, so because of that, the cables are a bit unstable, the internet cables. So that might be the reason. Let me open the door. And
It seems to be okay at the moment, but it did die out a little earlier. I'm just pre-warning you in case it gets worse again.
Okay. So let's start, and hopefully internet will be merciful to us till we finish this discussion. So Queen Kunti, in the previous verse, she's saying, "My dear Krishna, your lordship has protected us from poisoned cake, from a great fire, Lakshagriha, from cannibals, Narabhakshak, and from the vicious assembly, where Yudhishthir Maharaj was defeated or cheated in the gambling, from suffering during your exile in the forest, and from the battle where great generals fought. And now you have saved us from the weapon of Ashwatthama." And Draupadi's, she's been insulted. So that's also part of this tortures, what Kunti Maharani is referring to. Now, the next verse, she's saying, "Let those calamities come again and again." So if we materially, if we see those calamities, if we try to understand or imagine that, this is like every moment there is a possibility of something serious, life-threatening calamity in Pandav's life. Dangers or calamities, and here she is saying, are very good if it reminds us to take shelter of Krishna, if those bring us closer to the Lord. And the verse said, or the prayers by Lord Brahma, let me check if it is, yeah, here it is. So Lord Brahma says in the 10th canto, 14th chapter, 8th verse, "Tattenu kam." Oh, okay, I think, I need to share my screen again. Yeah. So we were at the verse, Lord Brahma has offered to the Lord, "Tattenu kampasu samikshamano bhunjana evatma kritam vipakam hridvag vapurvir vidadhan namaste jivetayo muktipade sadaivak." Translation is, "My dear Lord, one who earnestly waits for you to bestow your causeless mercy upon him, all the while patiently suffering the reactions of his past misdeeds and offering you respectful obeisances with his heart, words and body, is surely eligible for liberation, for it has become his rightful claim." So what Lord Brahma, our Acharya, from who has established this sampradaya, he is saying that the sufferings are going to be there as long as we have a material body. And we have to patiently tolerate these sufferings. Sufferings, the reaction of his, as a reaction of his past misdeeds, and offering you respectful obeisances with his heart. Rid Vag Vapur Bhir Vidadhan Namaste. Rid is heart. Here it is. Yeah, Rid is heart. Vak is Vacha, which is Vani, our speech. Vapur is body. Vidadhan is offering. Nama is obeisances to you. And Jiveta, yo, the lives, anyone who to the position of liberation. So what is their rightful claim for hair? That's what Lord Brahma is saying. And Prabhupada is reminding us this verse here in the purport. And then Prabhupada says, non-devotees do not know that this material world is full of danger. And what is the verse we talked in our last session? Sama ashrita ye padapallava plavam mahat padam punya yasho murare bhavam budhir vatsa padam param padam padam yad vipadam nadesham. In the ocean of dangers and miseries, at any time there will be danger. And we all know so many dangers, so many calamities has happened in our recent history. The example Prabhupada gives in this particular context is Titanic. People were so happy that they were on that grand voyage, and it was a very luxurious ship. And what happened, just without people realizing, it entered in the iceberg, and we know the rest of the story, that movie which was made on that. So what Lord says in the 15th chapter regarding this particular all the reasoning about the dukkhalayam ashashvatam mamupatya punarjanma dukkhalayam ashashvatam napnuvanti mahatmana samsiddhim paramam gatim. Everyone is trying to be happy by avoiding the danger. This is the material attitude, and this is what Lord is explaining through this verse to us. Let me work very hard and have a bank balance or some nice leisurely life. That is the intention of everyone. And then they retire and have some quote-unquote enjoyment. Prabhupada says that's not possible, because we cannot be happy just by being not active. The real danger is the repeated birth and death. And the solution is Kunti Maharani giving here, which is this one. Apunar bhavadarsanam. Yasyad apunar bhavadarsanam. That's the solution. And in this dukkhalayam ashashvatam, alaya means house, dukkha means misery, shashvat means eternal, ashashvat means not eternal, temporary. So that's what Lord has confirmed, that the manufacturer has given the guarantee that this place is ocean of miseries. So there's no point in us adjusting to be happy here. The fascinating part of when Prabhupada was explaining this particular verse is Arjun asked the same question to Krishna, and Prabhupada has given very beautiful reference in this particular context. What Arjun says, that yes, you are right in telling me that we are not this body and soul never dies. Arjun says this. But when I see my son getting killed, my grandfather getting killed, and all the dangers and miseries, how can I remain undisturbed? And very much apt question which comes to our mind as well. I'm accustomed to think in terms of my relationship. The exchange is based on my bodily relationships. And it is there, Bhagavad Gita, 2nd chapter, from 1st verse to 8th verse, that's what Arjuna is telling the Lord. if we do the reference word, that's what he's saying here. Let us see. Yeah. Am I on Bhagavad Gita? Yes. So, yeah. Then in the second verse, Lord is saying, how come this impurities came upon you? It is not befitting a man who knows the values of life. And then Arjun, then in fact, in the next verse, Lord is saying that you're acting like a degraded, impotent person. Kshudram hridaya daurbalyam. Your heart is very weak. Tyaktva parantapa. The weakness of the heart. Giving up, uttishtha, get up, and para antapa, or chastiser of the enemies. And then Arjun says, O killer of the enemies, O killer of Madhu, how can I counterattack with arrows in battle men like Bhishma and Drona, who are worthy of my worship? And then he says, very important point, it would be better to live in this world by begging than to live at the cost of lives of great souls who are my teachers. So he's emphasizing on a Guru Tattva here. Even though desiring worldly gain, they are superiors. If they are killed, everything we enjoy will be tainted with blood. Ethically, very powerful point Arjun is making here. And then he says that, nor do we know which is better, conquering them or being conquered by them. If we kill the sons of Dhritarashtra, we should not care to live. Yet they are now standing before us on the battlefield. And then he says, then this is the point of surrender. Karpanya doshopahatas svabhava pruchhami tvam dharma sammudha chetaha yachreyah syanishchitam bruhitanme shishyasteham shadimam tvam prapannam. Now I am confused about my duty and have lost all composure because of miserly weakness. In this condition, I am asking you to tell me for certain what is best for me. Now I am your disciple and a soul surrendered unto you. Please instruct me. Utinyan Goswami Maharaj, once he was giving lecture, and he said, this is where our focus should be. He was giving a class in a Bhaktivedanta manner, and he said something amazing. He said, how many of us went right in front of the Lord to Radha Gokulananda or Radhalandaneshwar or whomever our Aradhya Devati is, and we said that not to show to anybody, not out of our false ego, but genuinely with tears in our eye, with tears in our eyes, said that, oh Lord, I'm a fool, I'm a frail, I have no qualification to be proud of myself, and in this condition, I'm asking you to tell me, I'm surrendering unto you what is best for me, and I'm your disciple. At least we can say I'm trying to be aspiring to be your devotee, and a soul surrendered unto you. Please instruct me. And Paramatma in our heart will instruct us. And then comes the next verse. I can find no means to drive away this grief which is drying up my senses. I will not be able to dispel it even if I win a prosperous, unrivaled kingdom on earth with sovereignty like the demigods in heaven. This is what Arjun is saying, that yes, even if what you are telling is true, how can I kill them? And I feel that I can, he's saying I'm surrendered to you, but he's asking later on that how can I remain undisturbed? I'm accustomed to think in terms of my relationship, the exchanges based on my bodily relationship. That's what Arjun is saying here. And then Lord replies later on that, yes, that is a fact, but you have to tolerate. There is no other way. Bhagavad Gita 2.11, 13, 14 and 15. And if we go back here, go to Ashochananva shochastvam prajnavadamscha bhasase gatasuna gatasumscha nanushocanti panditaha. This is again it's a language of chastisement. You're speaking, while speaking learned words, you're mourning for what is not worthy of grief. Those who are wise lament neither for the living nor for the dead. And then he talks about the nature of the soul. I did not never was the time I did not exist, nor you. And then comes the next verse, which is very famous. Dehinosmin yatha dehe kaumaram yauvanam jara. So, and then in a 14th and 15th, which is again, these are all the famous verses from second chapter, Matra Sparshastu Kaunteya, and this is what the tolerance part Lord is talking about. We have to tolerate all the apparent happiness and distress in our life. And in the 15th verse, Yam hina vyathayante te purusham purusharshava samadukha sukham dhiram somrutvaya kalpade. Very, very powerful, very important verse. The person who is not disturbed by happiness and distress and is steady in both is certainly eligible for liberation. And here Kunti Devi is saying, give me those miseries again and again. That means if I will see you again and again, and I don't have to go through this cycle of repeated births and deaths. So when we go through Bhagavad, as I said earlier, when we go through Bhagavad Gita, and then if we go through the prayers of Queen Kunti or Bhishma Dev or even Gajendra Moksha, we can actually corroborate that all these great devotees, they are confirming what Lord has said in Bhagavad Gita, in a very poetic, in a very sweeter way. So it's basically a revision back and forth, and it's the sweetest revision we can think of. So nowadays it's a winter, and difficult part is to take an example. The difficult part is to take a shower in the morning, but as a part of our sadhana, we do that. We follow our daily routine, perform our sadhana, and this kind of sufferings means at the minutest level, it starts with the basic concept of austerity, tapasya. Despite of all adverse conditions, we have to maintain the enthusiasm and continue our devotional service. The bliss, because of this devotional service of tapasya, of the austerities, will be there as our consciousness gets purified. Tapasya is nothing but voluntarily accepting the difficulties of life. And that's what Lord is saying in this particular verse, Matra Sparshastu Kaunteya. We have to tolerate. So we all know that yogis in Himalaya or wherever they are, they do a lot of intense austerities, sitting in a scorching heat surrounded by fire and meditate on Paramatma feature of the Lord, or sitting in a chilling cold water or in a snow and meditate. But for us, in this particular sampradaya, Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is very merciful. The process he has given himself in Shikshashtakam, as well as through Rupa Goswami, Sanatan Goswami, Jiva Goswami, Gopal Bhatta Goswami, Raghunath Das Goswami, Raghunath Bhatt Goswami, all their instructions and the literature is to be fixed in our devotional service, chant, dance, associate with devotees, study the scriptures which are already given as a formula by our acharyas, have a nice prasadam, and distribute the same message across the world. That is our tapasya. We don't have to follow those very intense austerities. But interesting, that people in this age are quite fallen, and they can't accept this tapasya as well. If we see how 9.2, hopefully, yeah, and that's where Lord gives a very beautiful formula here, that when we will follow this process of tapasya, as our consciousness gets purified, what will happen? The hidden or the secret of bhakti will be revealed to us. Raja Vidya Rajaguhyam, the most confidential knowledge, Rajaguhyam. And Raja Vidya, the king of education, is very confidential. Pavitram idam uttamam. Pavitra means purest, very divine. Idam uttamam, and transcendental, it's the highest. Pratyaksha avagamam dharmam susukham kartumavyam. So, what Lord is confirming here, this knowledge is the king of education, the most secret of all secrets. It is the purest knowledge, and because it gives direct perception of the self by realization, it is the perfection of religion. It is everlasting, and it is joyfully performed. Now, we have seen one more verse earlier in the fourth chapter. I think it's the 38th verse. Yogic sciences. This is the highest of all the mystic sciences, he says that. And here Lord is confirming Raja Vidya Rajaguhyam, and it's confidential. What it is all about how to progress in the path of bhakti. That is nothing but this confidential knowledge. But it has to be realized just by reading and following it. There is no blind path to follow. And for that we have to follow the austerities, the tapasya, which is given by the Lord himself, as we talked about with Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. I think my connection is a bit unstable, so let me share my screen again. Hopefully I should be able to finish this quicker today. Yeah, there is a lot to discuss actually about this, but let's see. The kind of tapasya is very easy for us to follow and gives the pleasure right away. This is the problem is we don't have a taste for it. And Lord Chaitanya says that in Shikshashtakam, the holy name of the Krishna is so merciful, and as our consciousness gets purified, we realize that the Lord is immediately available to us. But Durdaivam idrasham ihajanim na anuraga. I don't have a taste for it. So we have to make those efforts to develop the taste for it. A surrendered soul, a devotee, accepts both, that is, pleasures and dangers, as a mercy of Krishna, and continues his or her devotional service. He knows that the danger is another feature of God, of the Lord, which is same as pleasure. Very difficult for a common man to envisage this, to understand this, but that's what our acharyas have confirmed. So that means as the consciousness gets purified, we will have the understanding of what this means. There is a very beautiful book written by a Portuguese, he was a poet and a writer, and he lived for a very short, he lived a very short life. Around 40 or 42, he passed away. He has written a book called The Book of Disquiet. His name was Fernando Pessoa. And he writes, in this particular context, I remembered some of his quotes. So I thought we'll talk about those quotes here. So he says, "Where is God? Even if he is not there in front of me, I want to pray and and to weep to him, to repent of crimes I didn't commit, to enjoy the feeling of forgiveness like a caress. That's more than maternal. The feelings that hurt most, the emotions that sting most, are those that are absurd. I found it incredibly fascinating, very similar to some of the prayers by our acharyas. He was a great personality. Then he says, if there is one thing life grants us for which we should be thankful to the God, besides thanking him for the life itself, it's the gift of not knowing ourselves and of not knowing each other. I found it very profound, because he's saying that if we knew everything, then what's the point of living this life of dryness? So in this particular context, when Kunti Maharani is saying, let those miseries come again and again, and I don't know what's there in future, there is always an anxiety, and that's what Pessoa is saying here. As we are talking about this particular prayer, she knows how to remember Krishna in dangerous situation. She is welcoming the calamities. Similar devotee is in 8th canto, in 7th canto, Prahlad Maharaj. He was remembering the Lord in every dangerous situation. Remembering Krishna in every dangerous situation means a person is advancing in bhakti, knowing that he or she need not have to face the situation again. Janma karma chame divyam evam yo vyakti tattvataha. Lord says that in a 4th chapter after Paritranaya Sadhuna. He confirms that who understands my nature of is divine, appearing, and my activities, they need not have to come to this material world again. And that's what Kunti Maharani has realized. That's what we can, that's the reflection we can see in these prayers. So after giving up this body, as Lord has confirmed, there is no need to take birth again. Any comfortable position in the current body is dangerous position, since a person hankers and laments for it, knowing that the comfortable position will not occur again. So the so-called happiness, it has a higher potential for miseries. That's what all the great devotees and the Lord himself has confirmed here. Most of the people are thinking that let me accumulate everything I need for the material comforts. And Kunti Maharani's consciousness is exactly opposite. She is completely dependent on the Lord and saying, whatever happens, any calamity, let it come. That comfortable position, she says in the later verse, actually, we'll go to that. Apunarbhava darshanam. That's the important point here. That because I'm not in a comfortable position, that is why I will see you, and after your darshan, I don't have to see this ocean of miseries. Dukkhalayam ashashvatam. And then, as Lord Brahma says, that our sufferings are on account of our past deeds. So tolerating and suffering is the advice given by the Lord, and in return, devotee gets an opportunity to go closer to Krishna. As Lord understands our conditioning and very mercifully reduces our sufferings in terms of both efforts and time. Very important point in this particular context here is our sufferings, we don't know what we have done in our several previous lifetimes. So what's there which is planned for a person in this lifetime, next lifetime, and lifetimes thereafter. But because now Lord has taken the charge, Krishna has taken the charge of the devotee's material life, he makes sure that this person need not have to suffer a lot. So sometimes if we see the devotees have more troubles and sufferings, it's because it's a kind of, we can say, the zip file in the computer, that he's bringing the sufferings together so that the person will remember him, will take shelter of him. And that's what Kunti Devi is saying, is giving the completion of her prayers in this particular, in this verse and in later verses. Shrunvanti gayanti gananti bhikshnachaha smaranti nandanti tavehitam janaha teva pashyanti achirena tavakam bhava pravaho paramam padambujam. How to worship the Lord, how to remember the Lord. Shrunvanti, by listening. Gayanti, singing. Grinantya bhikshnashaha. So we have to remember his qualities and so on. That verse will be discussed a bit later. So Lord has promised us in Bhagavad Gita 1866, the last bits of the Bhagavad Gita, what he says is, Sarvodharman parityajya mamekam sharanam vraja aham tvam sarva papebhyo mokshayishyami ma shuchaha. Abandon all varieties of religion. Here the religion, particularly the context, is the way of life. If we have decided certain formula that this is what I am going to live, and the pious life or whatever, he says, just forget that. Just surrendering is the most important religion. Punya Shravana Kirtanat, as we talk about some of the verses earlier. So like in the same context, here Lord is saying that abandon all varieties of religion and just surrender unto me. I shall deliver you from all sinful reactions. Do not fear. That is, the example is, instead of giving us death and birth again, he is giving us the formula that the whole package of sufferings and happiness, he is reducing to the extent that we will go closer and closer to him. And he has confirmed that where? In 922, Ananyashchintayantonam ye janam paryupasate tesham nitya abhiyuktanam yogakshemam vahamyaham. So the next verse of this, if we check what Kunti Devi says, Janma Aishwarya Shutribhir, birth, opulence, education, and the possession of beauty progressively increasing is very intoxicating. So what she's saying, my Lord, your Lordship can easily be approached, but only by those who are materially exhausted. In Sarvodharman Parityajya Mamekam Sharanam Vraja, just abandon all varieties of religion, abandon all your ideas of accumulating and making your all efforts for the comforts. And here she is saying that, but only by those who are materially exhausted. One who is on the path of material progress, trying to improve himself with respectable parentage, great opulence, high education, and bodily beauty, cannot approach you with sincere feeling. So Kunti Maharani is giving us the package here, complete package. And here another the prayer will come little later after Vishnu's prayer. And Vishnu he was crying, and when Pandavas went to see him before leaving the body, he said, all five brothers was a perfect combination of chivalry, religiosity, strength, mystic powers, and discipline, with their wife Draupadi, who is none other than the expansion of goddess of fortune. In addition to that, the most important part is Krishna was always there with them, but still they suffered. And then he says, what is that arrangement of Krishna? What made them remember the Lord again and again and again? if such a great devotee went through so much of such a great personalities, including Bhishmadeva, Kunti Devi, everybody, sorry, we are about to finish, so I will finish quickly today. Yeah, if such great devotees went through so much of sufferings, our sufferings are people like us, our sufferings are bound to be there. So we need not, we need to have a firm conviction that we are in the safe hands of Krishna, as he has asked Arjun to declare that my devotee will never be unprotected. Now, the beautiful part of this is, since the Lord's devotee has declared that statement, Krishna has to fulfill it, because he himself says that I will do it, and sometimes he breaks his own promise. But when devotee does it, devotee makes the promise, then Lord has to fulfill. As we know that how many times he has broken his own promises. Because what's the reason? Lord is very attached to his devotees. Sadhvo Rudayam Mayam, the verse when Lord says that to Durvas Muni, when Ambarish Maharaj was offended by Durvas Muni, and Sudarshan Chakra was going behind Durvas Muni, and that time Durvas Muni went to Lord Vishnu, and Lord said that I live in my devotee's heart and devotees live in my heart. So I can't do anything. You have to beg forgiveness to my devotee himself. So that Lord is very attached to his devotees. And that is why Krishna is saying to Arjun that you make this statement. You declare that Krishna will fulfill everything if the devotee is completely surrendered to him. As the 922 we were talking about, Ananyaschintayanto Mam. So, what is the conclusion? This verse gives us the complete conviction that we need to be resolute and fixed in this path of Krishna consciousness. So, that's what today's verse and little bit of discussion we could have. I apologize for the unstable internet connection, but somehow we could complete our discussion today. If another 5 minutes and then we will stop. There was a great saint in Maharashtra. His name was Jnaneshwar. His elder brother was his spiritual master, Nivruttinath Maharaj. And at the age of, because of some certain social restrictions, their parents have to take the atonement by giving up their life. And Nivruttinath Maharaj was at around 10 years old. And he knew he was that they're not going to live long, his parents, because he, at the age of 10, he was very austere, and he was initiated in Nath Sampradaya by some arrangement of the Lord. So when they gave up their life, the material body, that time he composed a very beautiful prayer. And in that prayer he says, Mata Pita Bandhu Jiveka Jivhala Tu Eka Gopala Vishwapala. He says that Mata Pita Bandhu, their all relationship are related to this particular material world, Jiveka Jivhala. Tu Eka Gopala Vishwapala. He says that you are the caretaker of this whole entire universe, the whole manifestation. And then he says, Harsha Kheda Aika Mureka Jibhera. This happiness and distress is there, is just to talk about, to discuss with the people that yes, I am happy, I am miserable and all that. But it's all illusion. Mure ka jibhera. Sarva sukhananda tujha pai. And it says, all the happiness and bliss is there at your lotus feet. Now, then he says, Nama mantra ghade bheda brahma nasha, because he knew the Kali Yuga dharma. He says that Nama mantra, the chanting of the holy name, bheda brahma nasha. As I chant more and more and more, the illusion of good and bad, it disappears. Bheda brahma nasha, it gets destroyed. Nama mantra ghade bheda brahma nasha, jode avinasha moksha sukha. Avinash means which cannot be destroyed. So that the bliss of moksha, of liberation, gets attached to me, to my soul, automatically when I chant your holy name with that intensity of complete surrender. And then he says, Krishna mani dhyani, Krishna jani vani, bhuvani gagani, Krishna Krishna. He says that, where are you? He says that Krishna mani dhyani, in my mind he is there. He's in my consciousness, he's just a Lord, he's Krishna. Bhuvani gagani, in around me only there are you, who is nobody, there is no one else. And in the sky, you are there, you are looking at closer to me and very from far from somewhere which I can't even imagine. Bhuvani gagani, Krishna Krishna. And then he says at the last bit, his name is Nivruttinath, that means renunciation. Nivrutti Antari, it's called in Sanskrit or in Marathi or in all the languages which are derived from that. He says that Nivrutti Antari, when there is a renunciation in the heart from the material world, his name is also Nivruttinath. Nivrutti Antari, Krishna Bhakti Date. When there is a renunciation from the material life, and when there is only devotion, intense devotion in my heart, Ogha avaghate asaktica. He says that all the attraction to this material worldly life, that attachments, that disappears automatically when there is bhakti in the heart. It's a very beautiful prayer. I just remembered it in this particular context, so thought of sharing with all of you. So we will stop here. If there are any questions or comments or additions, please feel free. No questions, no comments. Okay. So we will stop here. Thank you very much for all your association, though it's virtual. We could discuss a very wonderful prayer because of this arrangement. So thank you. Vanchakalpatarubhyascha kripa sindhubhyascha
Patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namah. Hare Krishna. Thank you,
Prabhu.
Prabhuji.
Amazing,
Nice.
amazing. What a
Prabhu.
wonderful
Thank
class.
you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Prabhuji.
Thank
Hare
you,
Krishna.
Prabhuji. Thank you.